Wow, this is terrific.
Simply delicious.
Tell me, Miss Talbot, how did you make this coffee cake?
Poison. But let me tell you about the wellness center.
What was that you said about poison?
Oh, nothing.
Okay, cool, because we are here to talk about how wonderful my students should get reward for being great.
Like I said, I have a wellness center greater than Murray's wellness center in store. Really? Yes.
Before getting into the meat of this episode of Cambridge Theory, Belimicus, Zero, or Hero, I'm going to tell you a little about what we're going to do. Well, we're going to analyze to try and prove the opinions of the correct people, who prefer Belimicus, and the short-sighted ones who support Quintus. So please, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
But first, we need a little bit of background of where he comes from. The Cambridge Latin Course is a series of extremely memeable books, which chronicles the lives of many different characters that are all related. One character of importance is Quintus, who, after the destruction of Pompeii in the first book, leaves his family to travel the world, going through Alexandria and Britain, and finally Rome. In Britain, he meets a man named Belimicus, who is the chieftain of the Cantiaci tribe in Roman Britain, which was based in a region known as Cantium, now known as Canterbury. Belimicus is the handsome, bearded chieftain of this tribe who rises up in the ranks of the Roman society, but ultimately is defeated by Salvius.
So, before exploring Belimicus' role and his being, we want to get to know him better. Because we don't even know the basics. Is he nice? Yes. Cunning? Yes. Beautiful? Yeah. How tall is he? I don't know. I must know. I must know. Just so we can know a little bit more about the hero in the Cambridge Latin series. In order to find his height, we need a drawing of Belimicus next to a drawing of a real-world object, which we can determine the height of, allowing us to use proportions, my favorite. So, if we flip through the books, we can find a couple of instances like this. On pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15, 29, 38, 39, 56, 59, and 61. But it turns out all of these are useless, so let's look at page 59, which shows Quintus and Dumnorix next to some pillars at Bath. This is a dead end too, because we don't have side-by-sides of Dumnorix and Belimicus, because they're never seen as equals. But, hold up, what was that? Page 61, the infamous threatening scene? The scene, which is a source of much debate, shows Belimicus holding an outstretched blade at the throat of Quintus' slave. Quick side note here, because y'all have no chill. Belimicus never tortures the slave. He pretty much pleads with the slave just to give up the information. Also, the slave would not be in danger if Quintus wasn't horrible. Allow me to explain. Quintus involves the slave in the planning of his trip, and then leaves him knowing very well the slave will be forced into giving up the information, which ultimately kills Dumnorix too. My point is simply, Quintus puts others in horrible situations. They don't have any of the old protagonist protection. Belimicus just wants to save his people suffering. Anyway, back to the photo. What is that sword? A short sword? A dagger? A long sword? A double-handed axe? I don't think so. It's characteristic of a gladius. What's that rounded handguard? Oh, my lord. That is a standardized Roman gladius. Their average lengths are shown on screen. Making a proportion of our centimeters to the sword length allows us to see the truth. After throwing rulers all over Belimicus' body, it's apparent. Belimicus is over 9 centimeters tall! Oh my. Oh. You wanted that in actual centimeters or feet? Fine. Belimicus is really tall, compared to Myropines. The average height of a British man at this time was 167 centimeters, or 5.5 feet. Belimicus is 137 centimeters tall, 4.5 feet. Okay then.
To follow that immensely anticlimactic piece of information, we also know a few other things about Belimicus. 1. He had a super voluptuous beard that obviously all the men at the time wanted. 2. He received honors from the Romans. We know this from his interactions with Salvius. 3. He was the chieftain of the Cantiaci tribe in Roman Britain around 80 AD, which sounds like 80, but it's actually 80 AD. Okay. Wait. You might say, who are the Cantiaci? Is that like a singing group? No. The Cantiaci was a Celtic tribe in Roman Britain, and they lived just about where Kent is today, in England, which is just about in the southeast corner. They were respected by the Romans for their civilized ways, and even had their main city, Cantium, turned into a major Roman city. Today, it is known as Canterbury. Their main industries were pottery, iron, and fish. So, what about Belimicus? Salvius and Caecilius were real people, right? Belimicus must have had a real-life counterpart, right? Wrong! After hours upon hours of researching in the dark web, we could find no records of the leaders of the Cantiaci after 40 AD. Making him the Cantiaci chieftain was a good way for the writers to have a character that could do whatever he wanted, because he didn't need to follow any specific historical events, but still was a chieftain of an important tribe, giving him political power that would help him be relevant to Salvius.
As we have said before, Belimicus appears much more frequently than some would lead you to believe. He appears in 7 out of the 51 stories, and in contrast, Quintus, your golden boy, only appears in 4 before Belimicus is killed. This means Belimicus arguably has more significance and development than Quintus does, and today we'll be exploring just that. Belimicus' first appearance is in Ludi Funebres 1 on page 51 of Book 2. He is seen competing in a boat race against Dumnorix, who is described to be the perfect little boy, and maybe even more perfect than Quintus. Dumnorix tries to warn Belimicus about the coral reef that is being hidden under the waves in the path of the boat race, but Belimicus decides to ignore his advice and head straight forward before he ultimately crashes. At this point, it is apparent that the writers of the stories want us to view Belimicus in a negative light, even describing him as insolent and arrogant.
Really, guys?
Fast forward to a few days later when Belimicus is plotting his revenge in the story Belimicus Ultor. Belimicus decides that he will crash Cogidumnus' upcoming party, which Dumnorix will be attending, with a bear from the palace. When he decides to do this and wrecks Spectaculum Dot, after a few minutes of food and entertainment, and after a very good speech, much like this one, he ends up sicking the bear onto Cogidumnus instead of his intended target, Dumnorix. This reinforces the negative perception the reader has of Belimicus, and this is also the last we see of Belimicus for some time, and his last appearance in the Blue Book. In the Green Book, Belimicus is abruptly introduced in Salvius Concilium Cognoscit when Salvius decides to ask Belimicus to help find Quintus and Dumnorix when they escape to find Agricola. Belimicus finds and interrogates Quintus' slave without torturing him, like Salvius told him to do, I might add, and then goes after them, and his team of Equites kills Dumnorix, but lets Quintus slip through their fingers. Wait, hold up. Putting Quintus aside for a second, Belimicus is the one who leads to the demise of Dumnorix, which was his goal from day one. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Belimicus gets things done. After this feat, Cogidumnus dies, and Salvius forges his will and gives Belimicus clout and compensation for his help. After this, in these stories, Belimicus starts rising to power and is becoming dangerous to Salvius. Belimicus begins to plot against him, and his fake friends rat him out for it.
Oh my goodness.
Salvius invites him to dinner and kills him with fish sauce.
Really?
Belimicus definitely has the most interesting character arc in the Cambridge Latin series. He starts out being mocked and put down by everyone in the book, and the writers purposefully make him seem like a jerk. He then goes on to achieve his goals and gets revenge on the person who mocks him the most and rises up in prestige. He then flies a little close to the sun and falls from grace. He is by far the most slept on character in the entire series, and he definitely deserves all the recognition we are giving him. I believe that the significance of the boat race story is that it is a metaphor for Belimicus' life. He heads straight for his goals and aspirations, and then ultimately is punished for him. This happens in the Bear storyline and when he dies at the hands of Saois. Deep, huh?
Hey, Isaac! What are they in?
I knew you might ask that. They're in boats, right?
Yeah, but what are the boats in?
The boats are in a lake.
No!
What are lakes?
Deep!
Yes, deep.